I want to just talk about ways that we can communicate better with the public, and I understand, why is that mentioned in a budget session, but I think that the budget encompasses everything and that outside forces direct how we do the budget. And so I think that I would say to the board, I think we need to find better ways to communicate with the public on issues that they're concerned about. I'm thinking right now of regional government, of housing quotas, and of transportation dollars. Marin is known as a bastion of liberalism, yet there is a sizable group of Tea Party and property rights advocates that are pushing back against regional planning and government in general, and they're finding some allies in unlikely groups that we need to be aware of. Activists question the costs and value of policies to reduce carbon emissions because of deep-rooted skepticism about climate change, and we need to be aware of that. Their opposition is grounded in the conviction about that planners use methods to force or coerce members of the public to unwittingly endorse a predetermined outcome, such as a sustainability plan or particular projects. That needs to be in the back of our mind as we're going forward speaking to that. It's easy to dismiss these viewpoints, but it's not so easy when Tea Party advocates are joined by, say, the Sierra Club, who questions regional planning projects, and social justice groups who question the equity of some financing measures and the effectiveness of some planned transportation projects and strategies. I recently read an article by professors at Berkeley who did an in-depth research on 2 regional planning projects. One was Plan Bay Area, and one on a transportation special purpose local sales tax in Atlanta, Georgia. Both of these measures attracted Tea Party and property rights advocates, and in Atlanta they were joined by the Sierra Club and the NAACP. The author's analysis suggested that planning and research communities should not dismiss Tea Party or property rights oppositions as unworthy of attention or careful deliberation, since all evidence shows that property rights oppositions will endure. Tea Party and property rights activists could catalyze new coalitions of opponents if planners and government innovators do not attend to procedural concerns. Thus, they list 3 interrelated avenues that we should consider, and I just want to briefly mention those today. First, they recommend that plans contain, when we come forward with big plans, that we should include property rights impact statement, much like an environmental impact report, but broadened to include the fiscal impacts of public service burdens and benefits, as well as full life cycle cost assessments of capital projects, which include long-term maintenance and operations. At the regional scale, activists may be skeptical about the motivation of regional officials, so interested local jurisdictions could undertake these analyses individually or in partnership with neighboring jurisdictions. Their second recommendation is planning agencies should be more explicit on how public involvement has shaped the plan, because there are constant complaints that the issue was already decided and nobody listened to the public. The third recommendation is regional processes should include multiple scales, sectors, and geographies. In other words, outside of this area facing similar opposition, so that we look and see what they went through. This kind of research would further the knowledge base, helping to identify communities or regions that had cultivated methods for proceeding with planning in mutually beneficial ways. We have seen responses to this at our county. I think the formation of the REACT committee was one such measure, and development code amendments, which we have been working on. And lastly, I think we must do research on the use and impacts of social media and internet communication by planning participants in the light of the fact that social media can be and has been a game changer on how non-planners engage with planning. So internet and social media communication can also affect participant mobilization and various stakeholders interpreting public processes and actions. I'm not sure how I feel about all these recommendations, but I do think in light of what we have seen this past year in moving forward with planning, with public works, with regional issues, I think we do need to be aware of this and look in depth, because I don't think this is going to go away. So I look forward to further dialogue with the staff and my colleagues on this issue.